Good morning, class. My name is Jimenez. I'm from California, Southwest Carpenters Training Fund. I am one of the drywall finishing instructors. Happy to be here in Phoenix with you. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Oh, very well. Very good. Glad to hear. You're here for a basic hand finishing class. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over all the rules and the regs of the training center. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the shop floor rules and the regulations, so that way you have an understanding of what we need to do out there also on the floor. We're going to cover equipment and tool safety when we get on the floor. So this way, when we put the parries together and we look at the hand tools, we inspect the area that we're going to work at, we're also going to go ahead and make sure that we start off by actually laying out our project. I'm going to show you a couple of videos right now on basic layout. I'm also going to show you a couple of videos on basic hand finishing, what are the processes in the system that we use, so you're familiar with what you're going to be doing out there on the floor. Okay, do you have any questions? Oh, okay, good. So you've taped before, I see, yes? Oh, okay, good. So you have a little knowledge. That's perfect. You can help me with those who don't have that experience, and then that way, you know, things will go a little smoother for all of us. You'll help me out. We have a pretty good class. I have 10 students. It's perfect. I love it. If you can see the module we're going to be building, it's 4 modules. I could put 2 guys per module and 3 on 2 of them, so that now we can work together. Okay, we're going to basically lay it out using Pythagorean theory 3, 4, 5. We'll set our control line. We'll set our mark. We'll do our first wall. We'll square it up, and then we'll frame our project from there. Once we get the project framed, then we'll go through and we'll sheetrock it. Once we sheetrock it, then we'll go ahead and we'll put the trims on for the finish, so that way we can start on the basic hand finishing. The process I like to use once we start the basic hand finishing is we re-inspect the work site. We go back through and we make sure we stock our materials where we're going to use them. Agreed? Okay. So then, as we look at what we've just installed, all the drywall, everything's finished, we look at the process. We cut and pre-fill all the damaged drywall. So if you have any broken edges, we cut it with a knife, we pack it with mud, wipe it down, and get it in preparation to put our tape on. You following me so far? Yes? Oh, perfect. Okay, so what do? We spot the screws. That's one of the first things we do. Then if there's any screws that are hanging out, we recess them. We put them in with a screwdriver, or we can use a screw gun to set them in, because we don't want to bang the drywall, because we don't want to damage the drywall, or we don't want to damage the studs. We want to make sure we leave a real good product. Then we go through detail like the outlets, the light pockets or around the rings. If there's any damaged drywall, we cut it out. We pre-fill it with mud, and then we put tape, and once it dries and sets, then we spin the detail with compound. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to mix the compounds for different levels of finish. So that way when you're embedding your tape, your mud's not too thick, and when you wipe it down, it'll wipe down real nice and easy, so you're not working too hard. Do you have any questions so far? No? Oh, great. So you've done this before? Yes. Oh, that is fantastic. The process that we use for basic hand finishing is, the first thing we do is we check what we call the butt joints. That's the two cut edges of the drywall. It's the end points, or if you cut it and you butt it against each other. You have to kind of like get a razor blade, clean it up a little bit, strip it in with mud, and then we tape that first down to the field joint. The process is an overlapping process, so when you do the butt joint, and you embed the tape, and then you embed your tape into the fill joint, it overlaps that tape that you had just applied on the butt joint. Okay? Then any of the corner beads or trims that you've applied on the drywall or anywhere on the project, you want to make sure you cover those with tape, embed that, clean it, that overlaps the fields. Last but not least is always the angles. We finish the angles last because, like I said, it's an overlapping process. So if you have a trim coming through, your tape's going to be here, your angle's going to come up, and it's going to cover that. It's going to give you a nice clean edge. Okay? And we're going to do this all by hand. So I'm going to show you a video right now, and we're going to it'll show you the different processes for basic hand finishing, mixing the materials, so you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about. And then once we're done, we'll go to the floor and we'll go over the equipment and tool safety, and then we'll get started. Well, here we are on the floor. We are going to go over again equipment safety, tool safety, and the reason is because when we go ahead and we put the parries together for the job we're about to do, we want to make sure that they're put together correctly, right? Very good. You got to make sure everything is connected properly. Make sure you lock in your latches. That way when you're on it and it's moving around, they don't come out, they don't pop on you, and the scaffold won't collapse. One of our great tools we use, we put our mix in here, we put our water in here, okay? We also use electricity. We have to be careful because we work around water. We are a wet trade. We need to make sure that we protect ourselves from getting electrocuted. Okay? Also, our tools that are taping knives. We have to be careful because it's metal, very sharp. The knives are very sharp. You have to be careful when you're applying your mud. Okay? So these are the things that we need to look out for when we're working with drywall finishing. So, is there any questions about the tools, putting the parry together, what to do with the mud? If not, I'm going to tell you what. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get busy. We're going to do our layout, hang our drywall. I'm not hanging the drywall. We're going to do our layout, we're going to frame. Then we're going to hang, and then we'll put the corner beads on, and then we'll start our basic hand finishing class. Very good. What we're going to do is we're going to use the Pythagorean theory. They're going to pull the 6, 8, and 10. So what they're doing is they're getting ready to snap their first wall for the project. Okay? So now he's going to go in 6 feet like he was instructed. He's going to arc it, put a mark. He's going to come out 10 feet, arc his line. Now he's got his cross. Now he can snap his line for his first wall. Okay? So as you can see, they're getting ready to snap the line. Once we do that, in preparation to be able to hang the drywall, as you can see, they laid the bottom track, top track. They're starting to put the studs in, and then we'll be getting ready to be able to install drywall. The students are now taking the drywall, starting out from their layout to place the board so they can start hanging. Once they finish hanging the drywall, they'll go ahead and get ready to prep the floor with paper to protect it. So when we apply the mud, it'll make for easy cleanup. And then we install corner bead in preparation to be able to tape and with
bend it, say that, and then you can put it back on. Yeah, right.
So as you can see, nothing like having a little comedy added to the class. We're mixing mud right now in order to be able to embed the tape. As you can see, the young man in the background, and these two gentlemen here are coating the corner bead and putting the tape on. This gentleman here is following the process of putting the tape on the corner bead on the window. And towards the end of the week, everyone will follow the steps, spotting the screws, pre-fill, spotting screws, applying the tape to the joints by hand, then to the fields, then to the metal. And then after, give me one good hand coat, and that right there will demonstrate that they've learned the process for basic hand finishing.